Chapter 2. Forbidden Love. Understanding the Past. Their investigation began subtly, almost accidentally. During one of their clandestine meetings within the Sunstone fortress, Lysander stumbled upon a hidden alcove, tucked away behind a tapestry depicting the legendary Sunstone founders. Inside, amongst the dust and shadows, he discovered a series of ancient scrolls, their parchment brittle with age, their script faded yet legible. The scrolls detailed the early history of the Sunstone Kingdom, a history vastly different from the sanitized version taught in the royal academies. The scrolls spoke of a time before the bitter feud with the Nightshade coven, a time of peaceful coexistence, even collaboration. They described a shared history, a tapestry woven with threads of mutual respect and understanding. The Sunstone and Nightshade peoples, it seemed, had once thrived together, their magical traditions intertwining, their cultures complementing each other. The scrolls detailed joint festivals, collaborative spell-weaving, and shared governance, painting a picture of harmony that starkly contrasted with the current state of animosity. Gia, upon hearing Lysander's discovery, was equally astonished. She had been raised on tales of Nightshade treachery and Sunstone arrogance, tales designed to perpetuate the cycle of hatred. The scrolls, however, revealed a more nuanced reality, a story far more complex and far less straightforward than she had ever imagined. The history she had been taught, the ingrained prejudices, began to crumble before the weight of this newly uncovered truth. Their subsequent meetings were consumed by the scrolls' revelations. They deciphered cryptic passages, painstakingly translating the ancient script, piecing together the fragmented narratives. They discovered that the conflict hadn't begun as a sudden eruption of violence, but as a slow, insidious erosion of trust, fueled by whispers of manipulation and carefully orchestrated events. A particularly damning passage revealed how a powerful Sunstone sorcerer, driven by ambition and fear, had deliberately twisted events, manipulating the narratives to foster distrust between the two kingdoms. He'd fabricated incidents, exaggerating minor disputes, and creating a climate of fear and paranoia. This sorcerer, whose name was lost to time except for a cryptic symbol resembling a serpent coiled around a sun, had strategically planted seeds of discord, manipulating both the Sunstone court and the Nightshade coven to his own advantage. The scrolls detailed a series of strategically placed incidents, small acts of aggression designed to escalate tension and provoke retaliation. He'd arranged for minor skirmishes, subtle acts of sabotage, and carefully spread rumors, all meant to incite the very hatred he profited from. He manipulated the magical currents that flowed between the two kingdoms, disrupting the subtle balance of power and exploiting the resulting chaos. He even used subtle illusions and enchantments to influence key figures on both sides, solidifying the growing animosity. As they delved deeper into the scrolls, Lysander and Gia uncovered evidence of a conspiracy that spanned generations, a systematic campaign of misinformation and deceit that had been meticulously perpetuated through carefully chosen stories and distorted historical accounts. They found evidence of erased records, manipulated prophecies, and hidden documents, all designed to keep the truth buried beneath layers of falsehood. The more they learned, the more they realized the depth of the deception. The narrative of inherent hatred they had been taught was a carefully constructed lie, a tool used to maintain a status quo that benefited only a select few, those in power who profited from the conflict, those who manipulated the masses to their own advantage. The realization was both horrifying and liberating. It was horrifying to discover the extent of the manipulation, the systematic destruction of truth, the generations that had been poisoned by lies. Yet, it was also liberating to uncover the truth, to break free from the shackles of preconceived notions, to see the real history, however painful it might be. This shared understanding deepened their bond in ways they hadn't anticipated. They found a profound sense of empathy for each other, recognizing that their respective cultures had been victims of the same insidious manipulation. They recognized the shared heritage that had been deliberately obscured, the common ground that had been purposefully destroyed. Gia realized that the ingrained prejudice she had carried for the Sunstone Kingdom was a product of carefully constructed propaganda, not an inherent truth. She began to question everything she had been taught, to see the Sunstone people not as enemies but as fellow victims of a grand, centuries-long deception. She began to see Lysander not as a prince of a hostile kingdom, but as a man who had been just as blind to the truth as she had been. Lysander, in turn, saw Gia not as a member of a treacherous coven, but as a woman who had been manipulated and controlled just as he had been. He began to see the Nightshade coven not as a menacing force, but as a people who had been deliberately demonized to justify the ongoing conflict. He understood the depth of their shared predicament, the burden of inherited hatred that rested upon their shoulders. The discovery brought them closer, their shared understanding forging a powerful bond of unity. Their love, already a beacon of defiance, now shone brighter, fueled by a shared purpose, a shared understanding of the manipulation that had separated them. They knew that uncovering the truth wasn't simply a matter of historical curiosity, it was a crucial step towards breaking the cycle of hatred, towards dismantling the structures of power that profited from the ongoing conflict. Their clandestine meetings took on a new dimension. They weren't just sharing stolen kisses and whispered promises, they were strategizing, planning, discussing how to reveal the truth to their respective worlds. They knew it would be a dangerous undertaking, fraught with peril, but they were determined to expose the deception, to challenge the powers that be, to finally break free from the centuries-old chains of animosity. They started by discreetly sharing some of the information with trusted allies, individuals within their respective circles who were known for their integrity and skepticism. The reaction was mixed. Some were skeptical, dismissing their findings as fanciful tales or the ravings of lovers blinded by passion. Others were intrigued, their curiosity piqued by the weight of evidence. The process was slow and painstaking, a delicate dance of trust and revelation. They had to proceed cautiously, ensuring that their actions didn't expose them prematurely to the ever-watchful eyes of those who sought to maintain the status quo. Yet the knowledge that they possessed, that the truth was finally within their reach, fueled their courage and strengthened their resolve. Each shared confidence, each subtly planted seed of doubt in the minds of those around them, was a victory, a step towards dismantling the carefully constructed edifice of lies. Their love story, once simply a tale of forbidden romance, was now evolving into a story of rebellion, a story of truth against power, a story that promised to rewrite the very history of their kingdoms. Their forbidden love, once a source of danger and anxiety, was now becoming the catalyst for change, a force that had the potential to reshape the future of two warring nations. The whispers of their rebellion, once faint, were growing louder, a chorus of truth rising against the cacophony of lies. They knew the road ahead would be long and arduous, filled with challenges and dangers. They anticipated opposition, betrayal, even violence. Yet their determination was unyielding, their resolve strengthened by their love, their shared understanding, and the weight of the truth they carried. They were two lovers, bound by a forbidden love, fighting not only for their own happiness, but also for the future of their kingdoms, a future free from the manipulation and hatred that had plagued their people for centuries. Their journey was just beginning, and it was a journey that would test their love, their courage, and their faith in the power of truth to overcome even the most deeply entrenched lies. Their love story, once a whisper in the wind, was about to become a roar that would shake the foundations of their world.